In this video, we will show you how to replace your front lower ball joint on this Kia Forte Koup. This is part of your front steering and suspension, located behind your front wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing we need to do is safely raise and support the front of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground and the suspension's hanging. To remove the wheel, we're going to remove all 5 of our 21mm lug nuts, and then we can get the wheel off of here. With the wheel out of the way, the next thing we'll focus on is directly in the center area here. We're going to have to remove the 32mm axle nut and break the axle free from the wheel bearing. A quick inspection of that nut, we will be reusing it. Now we'll continue on with a hammer and punch directly in the center of the axle. You never want to use a hammer directly on the axle because you could cause damage to the threading. Now, once you saw that you have movement here, we'll pause out here and make our way underneath this area. You're going to find your lower ball joint, and that lower ball joint is held to the steering knuckle with 2 17mm headed mounting bolts. Remove the pair. With those bolts out of here, we should be able to push this out of the way. Once we've done that, let's make our way down under here. In this area, you're going to find your ball joint nut and your locking cotter pin. We can go ahead and remove that locking cotter pin. It's always a good idea to replace these. This one's pretty rotted. Let's cut that right off of here. Once you have the cotter pin out of there, we'll continue on with a 17mm. Remove that mounting nut, start it back on just a couple threads. Continue on with some penetrant in this area, and we'll have to start tapping on the nut itself to break that ball joint free from the lower control arm. There we are. Off of here. There it is, friend. A quick inspection and we'll set this aside. Now it's time to install the ball joint. We'll have to slide the ball joint stud down and through the control arm. Once we've done so, we'll start on the mounting nut. Pivot this out of the way as necessary. Now it's time to reattach the lower ball joint to our steering knuckle. This is held in place with 2 mounting bolts. Let's get the back one in here. Once both of these are started in, go ahead and snug them up and then torque those to 87 foot-pounds. With both of those tight, we'll be focusing on the ball joint to control arm mounting nut. Snug this up and then torque that to 64 foot-pounds. Once you have it torqued, the next thing you need to do is pay attention to the slots on the mounting nut in comparison to the hole that goes through the stud of the ball joint. We need to put in a locking cotter pin. If it's not properly aligned, continue tightening the nut until the very next slot is. Slide that cotter pin right on through, lock it down. It's time to reinstall our axle nut. We'll start this on and bottom it out with hand tools. You never want to use an impact tool installing these. Once we've done so, we'll get this closer to the ground so we can torque it. To torque this, there's several different ways you can do it. One would be with a second person inside the passenger compartment holding the brake pedal so the brakes can't spin on you. If you don't have a second person but you do have a long pry bar, you can use that as I am here. We're going to take this and come across the lug studs. We want to make sure that we do not cause any damage, but we'll bring this diagonally down to the ground. Holding this in the proper position, we can torque this to 202 foot-pounds. Now, once you have this torqued, we need to pay attention to the axle. On the axle itself, you should find that you have slots. What we need to do is use a hammer and punch and carefully drive a portion of the locking nut down into that slot, locking the nut into proper position so it can't loosen up on you while you drive down the road. One last quick inspection in this area, and we can reinstall our wheel. We'll start on all of our 21mm lug nuts and bottom them out. With the wheel back on the ground, we'll be torquing each of our 21mm lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Okay, friend, we've got the vehicle back together. At this point, you want to go ahead and pump up that brake pedal, take your vehicle for a road test down to your local alignment shop. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.